Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Vacation Station Travel and Leisure Show. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Vacation Station Travel Show, everyone. We're excited to chat with innkeeper Maria Chamberlain. Her and her husband Brian own and run the inn at OxBow Acres, which is in New Hampshire, Northern New Hampshire, in a town called Milan. So go to check out oxbowacresnh.com. So Maria, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm excited about this. You've been on a number of Big Blend radio shows, always for different topics, but finally we get to talk all about you. So first thing I wanted to say is, okay, the inn looks beautiful from going to your website and the photos we have up on our site and everything. Is that what led you to this area, to Milan, New Hampshire?
Oh, yes, it wasn't what led us. It was a very impromptu, spontaneous decision
Oh,
that
those
we
are always
came up
fun.
here. We weren't looking to move. Do you want the whole story?
Sure. Sure. We want the scandal.
You want the scandal. Uh, so we lived in the same town basically for 36 years. We got married, we bought land there. Um, we sold it a couple of years later, bought our first house there, outgrew our first house, bought our second house, which was a 1790 colonial, and we were there for
Oh,
20
wow.
years and worked on that. Um, raised our we raised our kids in both houses, but we have a lot of kids. We have 7 children. So the majority of them, that was what they remember as their home. And our youngest had gone to a friend's house, and several of his friends were like moving and relocating. And his friend lived across the street from a lake. And he came home saying, "We got to move." And I was like, "Don't be ungrateful. Like, you have a wonderful
Yeah.
home. Why would we move? I don't want to move." And he was like, "Oh, it'd be so fun to live near a lake." Like, so my husband always was interested in waterfront. I never wanted waterfront property because you get a postage stamp size piece of land with really high taxes, and nobody wants a family with 7 kids and lots of grandkids being sandwiched right next to you when they're trying to enjoy the tranquil beauty of a lake and you just have kids playing everywhere. So it wasn't even on our radar. But he and my son started looking, and they kept trying to show me listings. And I would just go outside. I had gardens at my old house, and I'd be watering my flowers, and my husband would say, "Look at this," or "Why don't you look at that?" And I would be like, "No, no, 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 go away. I'm not interested. I'm not going to move." Like,
Yeah, yeah.
we've been here for 20 years. And anyway, he came out, and he's like, "Well, you got to look at this place." And he showed me the listing for this property. And I looked at it, and I actually like sat down and looked at it. And I was like, "Well, that's pretty." We had always talked. Well, we hadn't always talked. When we first got married, we thought it would be really nice to live up here in the White Mountain region. And
Okay.
we had even when we first got married, there was an essay contest to win a log cabin up in the White Mountains. And they were taking $100 entry fees. And then when they collected enough entries, they were going to select a winner. Well, they never got enough entries for what they wanted for that house. So they just sent the check back. But it was back there, long ago that, oh, it'd be nice to live up here. So anyway, I totally put it out of my mind. Our youngest daughter at the time was engaged to be married, and she wanted to live on her own for a year before she got married. So she was thinking about moving to an apartment. And the day that she went to go sign like the apartment lease, I was like, I just didn't feel good about it, like the location and everything. And my husband had a friend of his at work who was selling a house, and he called him up and said, "Hey, is your place still for sale?" And so my daughter and my husband and I and her fiance came to join us, and we looked at that house, and they decided, yeah, that would be a really great thing to do, is to buy this place rather than rent. And so we went out for ice cream and we're talking about it. And my husband goes, well, your mother doesn't want to look at the place that I want to go see. And he pulled up the listing, and my daughter and her fiance are like, why wouldn't you want to go look at that? So for the next 2 days, that thought, like, why wouldn't I want to go look at that place? So I ended up calling, and it was a for sale by owner, and it was August, and we drove up here, and it was just beautiful. I mean, that's the view that we saw, but everything was green behind you, just beautiful mountains. And um, we walked through the property. Like at our old house, we had a big old barn that we always wondered about what could we do with it, but it was really in pretty rough shape. But the thought was there, oh, maybe we could have like a little venue. Um, but that wasn't going to transpire. And this had a barn that serves as a venue. And it was built in 1976, not 1790. So my husband was kind of excited about that. It didn't have a dirt basement and it had a garage, and the ceilings were a lot higher
Was it a
than
bed and breakfast beforehand?
this place. It was being used as a bed and breakfast, but we just bought
Okay.
it the thought had been in our mind to have a place where, wouldn't it be nice? There was a lot of, wouldn't it be nice for drink coffee? Wouldn't it be nice if we had a place where all the kids could come and all the grandkids that had lots of bathrooms and plenty of places for them to sleep? And so we're walking around and we're like, oh, this would be kind of fun. Like everybody could just come and gather here. Plenty of room for people to run around. Um, yeah, so there was just little things that we had talked about over the years that this had. So we're going through the place, and I said, well, this is all really nice, but my husband really wanted waterfront. And um, the owner said, well, come with me across the street. So we walk across the street, and it opens up into this big field on the river. And he said, we lease this from the timber company. So it cost $200 a year, and you don't pay taxes.
Ooh, there you go. There you got what you wanted.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, that kind of has to be the clincher. So we listed our house, and it sold 9 days later. It was more complicated to purchase this place. There was a lot of actually hurdles. But anyway, we ended up we ended up
It was
selling.
supposed to happen. It was like a made to happen thing. You feel
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we do. There was so many little things like we've had farm animals over the years, and our kids were involved in 4-H and did dairy
Oh,
goats and
cool. Yeah.
chickens and all that. But we never had horses because my husband had to take care of his sister's horse when he was a kid. He's like, nope, it doesn't have any use. You can't eat it. You can't use the wool. And I don't want to have horses because I'm not cleaning up after somebody else's horse again. And he was just always grumpy about we weren't going to have horses. But our next door neighbor, who actually grew up in our old house, he was a bachelor when we bought the place, and he was a bachelor for 10 years. And then he got married, and his wife came with 2 horses. So we built this nice barn, and he pastured them right outside our kitchen window. So we'd be drinking our coffee, and my husband's like, no, these are the best horses to have. We can watch them play in the snow. We can watch them frolic in the fields, and we don't have to pay for them. We don't have to feed them. We don't have to muck them. And then we came here. He's like, what could be better than that? Well, we came here, and there was a girl leasing the barn, and there was 11 horses here, and she took care of them, and she paid us.
So now he's a little happier even more. Like,
Yeah, so I was like, wow, that kind of beat that. But now we're now that she left and some of the borders stayed, we're taking care of their horses. But
yes, you've got like an equestrian center. You've got a barn as a venue. So weddings are a big deal at the end.
yeah, weddings, we just had a baby shower on Sunday, so just little family gatherings and things like that.
And
It's
no,
not
this has been
huge.
why it's taken so long to do this interview,
Yeah.
because this has been like, got this, I got that. So this is a 4 season destination, and the White Mountains are well known throughout the country. And that's really because of all that snow. And we're in that season as we record this, right?
Mhm.
And So a lot of snow play, and then the spring. Do you get flowers in the spring? And do you have
Oh,
orchards
gorgeous
with
flowers.
blooms?
Yeah. Yep. Beautiful
Mm.
flowers. And I'm kind of a gardening nut. So I've just planted more and more. In fact, from our old place, before we even closed, I asked the previous owner, "Hey, can I come and plant some bulbs in the fall? And if we don't close, then you'll have beautiful flowers, and if we do close, then I'll have my flowers in the spring." So I have flowers from our old house here, and yeah, I just keep planting more and more. I'm kind of a dahlia nut, and
Oh,
so
oh my gosh, now Nancy, my mom Nancy is like Dahlia queen. She
uh,
she always said one day, okay, we're gonna have a Dahlia farm if we, actually don't have the stress of what we do. She's like that. I said, well, that could also be stressful. She goes, no, but they're faces. She looks at dahlias and sees faces. And I
wow.
think she does, it's a beautiful thing. But dahlias are gorgeous, and there's some ones that just get so massive.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
just the colors are always, yeah, that's awesome. So we know that you've got flower power. What is summer like? Summer, you got lake, you got waterfront, right? So people can go whitewater rafting.
So whitewater rafting up in Errol, there's a dam that they've kind of changed the usage of. So you have to travel a few more miles up to do the whitewater rafting, but definitely canoeing, kayaking. Um,
Okay.
People have their
Hiking
pontoon
trails?
boats or their
You
oh
got
yeah,
hiking?
hiking trails everywhere. Yep, there's waterfalls. It's gorgeous. The White Mountains are so beautiful and dramatic, and
And
yeah,
you have a
so many
state
scenic
park.
places.
You have a state park that people
Yeah,
can
the
go to?
Milan Hill State Park is right around the corner. I love it there too because you can there it's the oldest cross country ski club in the nation. So there's these wonderful groomed trails that were designed by an Olympic cross country ski guy. And then there's a fire tower. So you can walk the trails in the
Oh, cool.
summertime. You can take the fire tower up to the top, and from our door to the top of the world, it's like 10 minutes. So it looks like you've been hiking all day and you get beautiful views up there.
Oh, how amazing. So a
Mhm.
lot of nature fall, you guys have the fall colors. I mean, New Hampshire is known for it. And then
Mhm.
snow. So this is a four-season destination. What is the town like, Milan? Is it like a small town? It doesn't sound like a city to me.
No, it's a very small town of like maybe 1,500 people. It's next to
Perfect.
Berlin, which used to be a thriving town. It was a mill town. It was the paper capital of the world up until,
Wow.
yeah, 2000, early 2000. So it has quite a history, and we love sharing the history. As you're coming up Route 16 to our place, you'll notice in the river there's these mounds of sticks and logs and things, and they're called boom islands. And men used to stand on those islands, usually men who could not swim. They would get over there on the um, they'd walk on logs. There were so many, like the river was just full of logs. Even now it's like a log graveyard. You go canoeing, kayaking, there's all this preserved wood down there. But in the
Hmm.
spring, they would float the logs because it's the logging industry is huge.
Yeah.
Up here. So they would cut the logs and then they would float them down the river, and they would be marked to go to a specific mill. So men would stand on those boom islands with these long pikes and direct the logs to go to one mill or the other.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And in I think it's early October, they have what's called river fire. So they'll stack those boom islands with pallets closer to Berlin, like a few miles up, and then they'll light them on fire, and they have a big festival and food and activities and everything.
Bonfire.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's called River
Bonfire
Fire.
night in England. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, so that's
So it
fun.
seems like quality of life. Are there restaurants and everything in Milan for people, or, that kind of
Not
thing?
particularly Milan, so you have to go to Berlin or Gorham. Gorham is
Okay.
right at the as you're coming out of the, kind of the White Mountain National Forest at the base of it. Has lots of
Okay.
restaurants and, places to
Okay.
eat and antique shops and places to browse, cute little shops.
So the most of the people coming to see you, are they there for the nature aspect?
Yeah,
Romance.
just
I know you got romance
romance.
packages.
Yeah, we have just people that are normally we get a lot of international travelers. So
Oh,
we are truly right on the main drag, like Route 16 in New Hampshire. Goes from like a 4-lane highway until you're up here and it's just, 2 lanes. Um, well, it's like a more like a 6 or 8-lane highway down below, but you come up here, it's just, one way for the cars, one way for the other.
that's cool. I like that.
It's really narrow. But what they do is they'll land in Boston and they'll either come up to the White Mountains and then cross over and go to Bar Harbor, Maine. I'm sure you know about Bar Harbor,
Mhm.
and then go down the coast, or they'll go up the coast and come back through here. So they usually
Okay, so
stop.
it's like a nice loop, a scenic loop.
Mhm. So we get a lot of people
Okay.
that stop from there.
Okay,
So
that's really cool. How many rooms do you have?
we have 6. Yep.
Okay, that keeps you busy. And then
Yeah.
you do the breakfast,
Yep. Full
your
breakfast,
bed
made
and
to
breakfast, full
order.
breakfast. Well, you know how to made to order. Okay, wow. Well, you have kids. You know how to do that.
Yes, I
Here,
do.
catch your egg. I'm flying it across. Here's the pasta. Did it stick? Yeah. So breakfast is served, and do you have a specific time for people, or how
So
you?
we also do that according to people's needs. So I usually,
Wow.
tell me what you want. Here's the menu and what time you want it, and we'll have it ready for you in the morning. The earliest is 6 a.m. to have it ready. And then like 9:30, I like to have everything served by 9:30, 9:45, just so we can clean up
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get on
Then you have
the
to
day. But
get the rooms done and turned and all of that. I mean, innkeeping is a lot of work. Is it like having a big family
yeah, it is. It is.
in a
But it's,
beautiful setting? Yeah.
yeah. And my husband and I are, we're quite the team, and we have a method for changing the sheets and doing everything.
Yeah.
So we can get a room changed over pretty quickly.
So you've got the inn, you've got beautiful garden area, and I know that sustainability is part of who you are, and this is you renovated this when you bought it. Um, so what is the sustainable aspect of this? I know you're going to be on our sustainable tourism show, but give everyone that sense of it. I mean, it looks like you have flowers and all of that too, which is
Mhm.
always important. Gardens are important, and art is a big thing. You had
Mhm.
that art event as well, which we loved hearing about. But yeah, the sustainable side of it. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have a 32K solar field, which was another selling point. Like the week
Yeah,
before this came up on our radar, my husband had talked to somebody about solar at our old house. And I was like, I don't want to invest in that. It'll be like 25 years before, we're
yeah.
not paying on it and we're reaping the investment. And we come here, and what do you know? There's a 32K solar
But this
field.
is this story. You're supposed to. Yeah, you were supposed
Yeah,
to.
yeah, it really seemed all the way down to my husband, when we first moved here, was still working for the FAA at the time, so he would go
Oh wow.
down midweek and stay with our daughter and go to work and then come back on the weekends. And my son-in-law had a boot warmer, and my husband was like, "Oh, it's so nice. Like, put my feet in and they're nice and
Mhm.
warm." And as I was unpacking and setting up house, there was some storage under the eaves, and under the eaves there was a boot warmer. And he came home and I was like, "Look, here's your boot warmer." So it was another one of
It's
those,
wild.
yeah, indications that, yeah, I think we're supposed to be here.
Wow,
So
that's nice. And so, how long have you been there now?
we have been here 4 years, 4.5 years.
Okay, so you're in it now because it's
Yeah,
past the 2 years, and then so that means you did the COVID thing there too, right?
we
We,
did. We did. We were
yeah.
renovating during COVID.
Oh, good time to do it. Yeah, you have to put a mask on anyway. Just, but that's a good time to do it. So that you lucked out on that. It's interesting because during COVID, that's how we connected with so many inns. A lot of the inns were doing this campaign of still in business, like we're doing your interview. They were still in business, and what was great about that is the inns were really trying to get this word out. Like we understand how to cater to specific needs, and we can separate guests at breakfast, and we know how to
Right.
make it work. And it's important because this is people's homes, and everybody needs to be viable. And so we went and I think we did like 20 inns in 2 to 3 years or something that we visited and covered. And that's how we connected with you, with some of our innkeeper friends, and a lot of them started actually during COVID. It was like maybe their first year, and it's like, oh, that's not great. It's like,
Yeah.
so, but doing renovations during that is good. And then everyone's excited to get out and want to have that personalized experience as well. So that's very cool. So,
Yeah.
um, I did want to ask, do you have major events and events in the region that people should know about?
Oh, there's lots of things that happen as far as in the hiking community. So gosh, there's just so many things. Right now in the wintertime, they're having like this race up to Mount Washington. It's almost like a triathlon where you're fat biking and you're cross country skiing, and then you're downhilling down the Mount Washington Auto Road and
Wow.
crazy things. So it's kind of like extreme
Mm.
sports. You would not believe the amount of winter hikers that are here. I just saw a post. I mean, it's precarious conditions, but on a peak called Lion's Head, people get up at like midnight to hike up this trail so that they can catch a sunrise view, of the mountains in winter. And it showed like 50 people that were up and that were hiking. I was like,
It's
that's
like there's people do that, like that polar bear plunge at New Year's,
yeah, yeah. So I
No.
mean, there's lots of different events
Thank
that are
goodness
always
for
going on.
photography. Well, that's cool for events that people can have that. And so what are the rooms like? They look beautiful and comfy and still like countrified. You know what I mean? Like a lot. It's like it seems to be very lodge feeling to me.
Yeah, I had fun decorating the rooms. A lot of it, I would scroll through Etsy and a lot of Etsy. I have like this cool chandelier above us right here that was made in Bulgaria, and I was like,
Wow.
oh, it's kind of shaped like an oxbow, and it has forest creatures on top, and
Oh.
I was like, that would look really cool in the inn. So the decor is, yeah, it's all very personal. Each room is different. Each room is named for one of the mountain peaks on the
Okay.
Mahoosuc Range. So that's why there's like Old Speck, which you can see right across, which is one of the highest peaks and also one of the most difficult to hike. Um, I was just
Mm.
reading about some of the uh, on this end. It's actually you're in Maine because you're looking at it at that point on that side, but
Oh, okay.
because we are right on the border. Like you can go to you can be in Maine in just a few minutes, or you can be in Vermont in 30 minutes.
Oh,
So,
okay. Oh, that's nice.
yeah, so it's really narrow up there. But so they're named for each of the mountain peaks, and they're all a little bit different. So they kind of have a unique theme. Like Goose Eye Mountain is kind of a fish themed room. I found this guy on Facebook who made me these custom wooden doors because it's like an A-frame lodge. I can't hang a lot of artwork, on the ceiling,
Yeah.
but he made me these great doors, hand carved wood doors, and they're
Oh,
just beautiful. So if
nice.
you go to our website, you can see like the fish door and doors with mountains and trees and things on them. And
Oh,
as he brought them over, he was looking out at the horse pastures and he's like, "You need a horse door." So I was like, I have a closet in one room and we can change that, into a horse door. So it has a horseshoe handle. So
oh,
it has,
nice.
yeah, unique little accents. So yeah,
That's
and the fish,
nice. That's fun to make. And that's
yeah,
part of the experience, for guests coming is this personalized thing that it's something, it's an authentic experience,
yes,
not something that you could be, that it's there. It represents the area. So you mentioned the Oxbow. So tell everybody about the name, the Oxbow Acres.
yeah. We thought we were being kind of very original at our old house. Like I said, it was 1790. There was an old oxbow that hung on the barn, and we took that with us. And when we were talking about, if we ever were to open this up as a bed and breakfast, what would we call it? And we thought, well, how about we use the oxbow and call it Oxbow Acres? Because also there's a natural geographic river oxbow, where we're situated. So where the land, comes out in that shape.
See how these connections, synchronicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have a synchronicity package.
But not far from here, maybe like 12 miles in the next town called Stark. is a place called the Oxbow Orchard. We drove by, we're
No.
like, wait a minute.
So you have orchards up there, so that's cool.
Yeah, we do. There's like 60 apple trees, which this is kind of a unique story too. Some of our first guests were the people who actually built this house in 1976. Um,
Wow.
it was a couple and the fellow's mother, and they built it as a duplex. So the mother was in her 70s and she lived on one side, and then the family lived
Okay.
on the other side. So they're the ones that planted the apple trees originally, because the apple orchard really hadn't been touched before we got
Mm.
here. But she said there was like, it was only half of what it was because they had taken in a relative, like a nephew or somebody who was kind of troubled. And he got angry one night and he went out with a saw and he chopped down like 60 trees. And she opened the front door and there were all her apple trees just lying there on the ground. And I said, "What did you do?" She goes, I screamed." And I said, "Well, how long did he stay after that?" And she's like, "We couldn't trust him. Like if that's what he did to our apple trees during the night, we couldn't have him around our kids and family." So he went
Mm.
back where it came from. But so anyway,
Wow.
we have what's left of the apple orchard. So, but it's
Do
still,
apples, do they come out?
they
Do
do.
they?
The apples grow.
Wow.
It's just really, it needs, we started to prune it and it's just a big job. So it'll be something that we'll be continually working on over the next few years. But
Mm.
yeah, that's kind
Mm.
of fun. I hope to bring,
That's part of sustainability. You have
yeah,
solar, sustainable,
solar
you've
and
got
the apples.
flowers and
I hope to have like a U-pick. We have
okay.
raspberries and blueberries too. So I'd like to have a U-pick for the apples someday. And we planted a bunch of Christmas trees our first year so that we can, like the long-term
Oh,
plan, maybe 8 years from now, is to have Christmas trees to sell where you can come and cut your own as well. Um,
wow.
yeah, so that'll be fun. But we have an old cider press, and that's what we used to do with our kids was press apple cider. Uh, Brian his parents used to have a honey business, and then he was helping them
Wow.
for several years. So he did the whole bee thing for a long time. And with the bees, his parents would pollinate different orchards. So he would bring the bees in, and they would pollinate blueberries or pollinate apples or pollinate
Oh, yeah,
strawberries and
yeah.
squash. And then in return, those farms would say, you can come at the end of the season and pick all the drops and take what you want, for bringing us the bees. They paid them too, but that was like a little perk. So every year, all our kids and cousins and everyone would get together and we'd pick all these apples. And then we had this old wooden cider press and we'd press cider. So, we'd like to do
Cool.
that experience and have that available for local families to come and press their own cider.
Wow.
And
How many acres do you have?
we have like 24. Yeah.
Wow. So you're using that. You're working it.
Trying
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Well, it's 24 is still a lot of acres, I think,
Yeah.
you
My
know.
favorite part though is the greenhouse, the attached greenhouse, because I can
Mm.
grow herbs and things for my breakfast dishes. And I just I just walk out and snip little garnishes and, add
Greenhouses are
little
cool.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a little place to go hibernate in, the plants. Not to say hibernate, but you know what I mean? It's like a little hideaway,
Yeah.
greenhouses. I you grow tomatoes and any kinds of things in,
Mhm.
in them, year round. So rhubarbs for rhubarb pie and strawberries for the
Yes.
strawberry rhubarb pie. I love that show with you. Everybody's like, no strawberries and rhubarb. And Maria comes on, they must have strawberries. I was like, this is perfect. I love that. Here's two guests going, no, no, no. And then Maria closes it with, oh, yes, we do. It's that synchronicity
Yeah.
again. I think it's all your fault, Maria. It's that
Oh, I don't
synchronicity.
know. But
It's
I
good.
do wanna grow strawberries here too. My husband's like, "You and your ideas," but just an acre.
Strawberries are awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you know what? When they're organic or homegrown without all the, you can taste pesticides on strawberries. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, that chalky. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have, I had a friend who had a strawberry farm and
Oh,
in San Diego. a Fallbrook area, and strawberries, and then she did lettuce and strawberries, and it kind of grew and grew and grew. Her strawberries were big and delicious and juicy, all organic. I mean, you wouldn't, this whole thing about strawberries being bitter, it's not necessary
Right.
if you're growing the right ones and caring for them properly. But she had the best strawberries. Man, there was nothing like that. Oh, and pomegranates. Yeah. hmm Fruit is
Yeah.
good. It's always
Yeah.
good to have your own fruit. Like apples. Picking an apple off a tree and eating it right there and then is like there's nothing like it, you
Oh,
know?
nice and crisp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and peaches, like when they're ripe and you get them from the oh, yeah. Juice down your face. Come on, we all need the juice down our face. We do.
I love
Oh man.
peaches. I used to can a lot of peaches, and I loved it in the wintertime because it was like opening up a can
Oh,
of summer. You'd
yeah.
open it up and it would just smell like summer in the middle
Mm.
of winter. So,
Oh, peaches are good. What are your breakfasts like? What's on the menu?
what's on our menu? Well, I make a much desired mushroom and spinach frittata that everybody
Ooh,
raves about. So they love that, and frittata is kind of like a crustless quiche, so it doesn't have the
pie.
carbs. If you do want the carbs, I have a sausage egg breakfast casserole that people like.
Ooh,
A lot of people love our pancakes, our blueberry pancakes, and
ooh.
during the fall season, I'll make pumpkin pancakes. Um,
Mm.
yeah, pretty much eggs any way you want them. Baked oatmeal is something that I used to make for my kids that people liked as well. They used to call it brownie oatmeal. So
Yeah, I think there's something baked oatmeal is it's different. It's better, I think,
yeah,
personally. Just my own thing. Nah, nah. Oatmeal and I have like yeah, we're picky on the oatmeal. But then someone did the baked oatmeal. I'm like, I don't know. I think it was one of the bed and breakfasts. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Just smile, Lisa, you can get through this, right? And then it was good. And I was like, oh, happy surprise.
yeah.
I can eat this without grimacing. You got to smile but do you do that for guests coming over if they're vegan or gluten free or any
Mhm.
dietary restriction work with them?
Yes, I always ask, and we make gluten-free pancakes, and so
Okay.
and then of course the egg dishes don't have to have gluten in them, and vegan is a
Yeah.
little harder to cook for. It's a little more expensive to find things that are just right for
Yeah.
vegan kids, but we're happy to do that. We understand
Mm.
a lot of people can't get out because of allergies, so inside the inn right now, we are not pet friendly because just certain people can't travel. If there's
Yeah.
we even though our dog is outside, and we have barn cats and things, but their home is in the barn area.
Yeah.
You know,
So you're clean.
we're clean. We're clean
We're clean.
because
Well, yeah, pet friendly
folks
places are clean
appreciated
too.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they do.
everyone's a little different. Some people go to inns because they have dogs, which
Mhm.
I think is cool too. Everyone's got their thing, it's how everybody wants to run it. And that's that personalized touch. Again, when people choose where they want to go, that's a cool thing. I was just going to close though with that you're close to, where they make all that amazing syrup in Vermont,
Yes.
right? Yes.
Well, no, right here in Milan, we have great
Oh,
maple syrup tap houses, and yeah, you can see the
really?
whole procedure just down the road from us, and we serve their syrup here. So Milan, and also in Berlin. So Milan,
Hmm.
there's Mullins Maple, and in Berlin there's Patry Sugar House. So they're kind of both the same distance from us, and we take syrup from both of them and serve it here. So it's delicious.
Yummy, yummy. That's good stuff. It's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Maria. It's fun. I'm glad we got to do this, and we can't wait for many more podcasts with you. I know you'll be in our sustainable tourism one coming up as well, and lots more. We got lots of good stuff happening. So, everyone, go to the website, and the link is in the episode notes. Go to OxBow Acres NH for New Hampshire. So, oxbowacresnh.com. They've got great packages on there. Go look in the things to do because you got great deals in that too. And you can see the rooms and go have a good experience. And we'll see you when we get to New England. We'll have to do
I
more
can't
than
wait
this
to
kind of see. Yeah, it'll be so fun to meet you after all these conversations. And we'll
yeah.
have to have a pie making class. with maple syrup somehow. All right.
Yeah, and a pie eating contest. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, okay. That sounds good to me. I'll join. I better go take a hike at midnight if I do that. Thanks so much, Maria. It was great fun.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Vacation Station Travel and Leisure Show, brought to you by Big Blend Magazines. Keep up with us at bigblendradio.com or blendradioandtv.com. Happy travels!